Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be looking at Tesla and Elon Musk.
Really fascinating story.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is how many times this company almost went bankrupt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, they really had to pull themselves up by the bootstraps to get this going.
Like you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So we should probably start at the beginning.
Okay.
So back in 2003,
Right.
two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Marc Tarpenning,
Okay.
they got this idea to start an electric car company.
Okay.
And their inspiration actually came from General Motors,
Oh, really?
the EV1. You remember that, right?
Sure.
The electric car that they ended up recalling and crushing all of them.
Yeah, what a shame.
I know, it's like
I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
huge missed opportunity.
Big time.
So, Eberhard and Tarpenning, they saw that and they thought, you know
We
what?
can do this better.
We can do this. We can do electric cars, right?
Yeah.
So they found Tesla and they start working on their first car, which is going to be the Roadster.
The Roadster, yeah.
Now, at this point, Elon Musk is not involved.
Right.
He comes into the picture a little bit later, but this is really Eberhard and Tarpenning's baby at the beginning.
Gotcha.
So they're working on the Roadster, and they need funding.
Of course. Yeah, startups need money.
And that's where Elon Musk comes in.
Okay.
So he had just sold PayPal, made a ton of money.
Yeah, the PayPal mafia.
Yeah, exactly.
They're everywhere.
So he's looking for his next big thing,
Yeah.
and he sees Tesla,
Interesting.
and he thinks, you know what, this is it. This is the future.
It's a big bet.
Huge bet.
Yeah.
This is like 2004.
Okay.
Electric cars were not cool back then.
No, not at all.
Nobody was really taking them seriously.
They were seen as kind of like golf carts almost.
Yeah, exactly, like slow and boring.
Yeah.
But Musk, he saw the potential.
He had a vision.
He did. He had a vision.
Yeah.
And he was willing to put his money where his mouth was.
It's risky though, right? I mean, putting millions into a company that's basically just starting out.
It was a huge risk.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have lost everything.
And he almost did a few times.
Oh, yeah, many times.
Yeah.
But he believed in it that much.
Wow. So he invests in Tesla, becomes chairman in 2004.
Yep, and that's when things start to get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready for the drama.
Oh, there's plenty of drama coming up.
Buckle up.
Yeah, so they unveil the Roadster in 2006. This sleek, sexy electric car.
So this is like the first real Tesla.
This is the first real Tesla
Okay.
that the public sees,
Gotcha.
and it's a hit.
People loved it.
People loved it. It was like this crazy new thing.
Yeah, it could go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds.
Yeah, it was fast. It was cool. It was everything that electric cars weren't supposed to be.
Right.
And everybody was excited.
So what went wrong?
Well, mass production. That's always the challenge with these things, right?
Going from a prototype to actually building thousands of cars.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough.
And Tesla, they were a small company. They didn't have the experience, the infrastructure, the resources to really scale up production.
I see.
So they started running into all sorts of problems, delays, cost overruns, parts shortages.
Yikes.
And there were internal conflicts too.
Really?
Yeah, Eberhard and Musk, they started butting heads.
Oh boy.
They had different visions for the company.
So it was more than just production issues.
Oh yeah, it was a whole mess.
So what happened?
Well, eventually Eberhard was forced out.
Oh wow.
Musk took over as CEO.
So Musk is fully in charge now.
Yeah, he's all in.
And this is all before the financial crisis.
Yeah, this is all before things get really, really bad.
Oh boy. I have a feeling it's about to get a lot worse.
You have no idea.
Okay, bring on the drama.
So 2008 rolls around,
Uh-oh.
and the world basically falls apart.
The financial crisis?
The financial crisis, Lehman Brothers collapses, the economy is in free fall.
Yeah. That was a scary time.
And for Tesla, it was a disaster. They were already struggling with production, and now they're facing a global recession.
Oof. Talk about bad timing.
Yeah, it was the worst possible time for this to happen.
So what did they do?
They had to cut costs.
Makes sense.
They laid off employees.
Oh man.
They slashed production.
They were just trying to survive.
They were in survival mode.
Yeah.
And on top of all of that, SpaceX,
Musk's other company?
Musk's other company,
Right.
was also on the verge of bankruptcy.
What? Why?
They had just had 3 failed rocket launches in a row,
Oh no.
and they were running out of money
So both of his companies are failing at the same time.
at the same time.
Oh wow, that must have been incredibly stressful.
Oh, it was, Musk was going through a divorce at the same time, too.
Oh man, talk about a perfect storm.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
So how did he cope with all of this?
Well, he's a pretty driven guy.
I guess so.
He's not the type to give up easily.
So he kept fighting
He kept fighting.
for both companies.
For both companies. He was working like 100 hours a week trying to save them both.
Wow, that's dedication.
It was insane.
I can't even imagine.
But you know what's amazing is that he didn't just focus on the business side of things.
What do you mean?
He also made sure to take care of his employees.
Really?
Yeah, there's this story about how he went to a Tesla investor for a loan.
Okay.
And he basically said, look, I'll spend every last dollar I have. I'll live in my in-laws' basement if I have to, but I will not let this company die.
Wow, that's some serious commitment.
Yeah, he was that determined to keep Tesla alive and to keep his employees paid.
So he gets the loan.
He gets the loan, and it's just enough to keep them afloat.
Wow, so close.
So close, they were like weeks away from shutting down.
That's incredible.
I know it's a miracle that they survived.
A Christmas miracle.
Literally a Christmas miracle. Because they got that loan on Christmas Eve, 2008.
No way, seriously.
Seriously.
Wow.
Talk about cutting it close.
That's unbelievable.
I know, but that's Tesla for you.
Always pushing it to the limit.
Always pushing it to the limit.
So they survived 2008.
They survived 2008, but they're not out of the woods yet.
Of course not. There's always another challenge around the corner.
Always another challenge.
So what happens next?
Well, in May 2009, they get another big break.
Okay, tell me.
Daimler,
The German car company.
the parent company of Mercedes-Benz,
Wow.
invests in Tesla.
Really? That's huge.
It was huge.
Why is that so important?
Well, first of all, it was a much-needed cash infusion.
Okay, money always helps.
Yeah, but it was more than just the money.
What else?
It was a vote of confidence from one of the biggest names in the auto industry.
Ah, so it gave Tesla legitimacy.
Exactly. Suddenly, they weren't just this little startup anymore.
They had the backing of a major player.
Exactly. And that opened a lot of doors for them.
I see.
And then on top of that, they got a $465 million loan from the U.S. Department of Energy.
Wow, the government is betting on Tesla now.
Yeah, the government saw the potential of electric vehicles, and they wanted to support the industry.
That's amazing.
So things are finally starting to look up for Tesla.
Right.
They've survived the near-death experiences, they've got funding, they've got credibility.
So what's next?
Well, the next big step is going public.
The IPO?
The IPO in 2010.
All right, here we go.
This is a major turning point for Tesla
How so?
because it means that they've officially arrived.
They're a real car company now.
They're a real car company now.
Huh.
They've proven that electric cars can be cool and commercially viable.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it sets the stage for everything that comes next.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Well, you'll have to tune in next time to find out.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Stay tuned.
I will. So they go public 2010, big moment,
Huge.
but they're still not out of the woods yet, right?
No, they're not. I mean, going public brings a whole new set of challenges.
Oh yeah, Wall Street expectations,
Yeah.
the pressure to keep growing.
Exactly. And they still need to prove that they can make a car that appeals to more than just the early adopters.
Right, because the Roadster, that was a niche product.
Super niche. I mean, it was expensive.
Yeah.
Not very practical.
Not really.
It was more of a statement piece.
A halo car.
Exactly, a halo car.
To show what they were capable of.
Yeah, to get people excited about electric cars.
So what was the next step then?
Well, they needed to make a car that was more affordable,
Mm.
more practical,
From mainstream.
more mainstream, something that could actually compete with the gas guzzlers out there.
Enter the Model S.
Enter the Model S.
Yeah.
This was their make or break moment.
Okay, so tell me about the Model S.
Well, it was still a luxury sedan,
Okay.
but it had a starting price that was significantly lower than the Roadster.
Gotcha.
And it had this incredible range, like over 200 miles on a single charge.
That's impressive for an electric car back then.
Oh yeah, it was groundbreaking. And it had all the tech you could dream of.
So they really went all out.
It went all out.
Hey,
It was sleek, it was stylish, it was fast, it was everything that electric cars weren't supposed to be.
So how did people react?
They loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
critics raved about it. Early adopters were lining up to get their hands on one.
It sounds like a success story.
It was a success story, at least for a while.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Here we go again. Because in 2013, they almost went bankrupt again.
Seriously, what happened this time?
Customer hesitation.
Customer hesitation.
Yeah, people who had put down deposits for the Model S, they started getting cold feet.
Why?
Well, there were a few reasons.
Okay.
Some early Model S vehicles had some quality issues.
Oh no.
Yeah, things like door handles not working properly or the touch screen freezing up.
So reliability issues.
Yeah, and there were also concerns about resale value.
I can see that. People weren't sure if electric cars would hold their value over time.
Exactly. And then there was just this general anxiety about buying an electric car from a relatively new company.
Right. I mean, Tesla was still unproven at that point.
Exactly. So people were like, what if this company goes under? What happens to my car then?
Yeah. What about service and repairs?
All those things.
So it's understandable that people were hesitant.
It was totally understandable, but it
Yeah.
was still a huge problem for Tesla.
Yeah, because they were counting on those sales.
They were counting on those sales to keep the company afloat.
So what did Musk do?
Well, he had to come up with a plan, and it had to be a good one, because this was make or break time.
Okay, so what was the plan?
3 things.
All right, lay it on me.
First, he turned Tesla employees into salespeople.
What do you mean?
He had them personally call every single customer who would put down a deposit.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted them to address concerns head on, build relationships with those customers, and encourage them to actually buy the car.
Wow, talk about leading by example.
Yeah, he's totally hands-on. He even made some of those calls himself.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he wasn't just delegating, he was right there in the trenches with his team.
So that was the first step.
That was the first step. Second step,
Okay.
he secured a potential buyout from Larry Page,
Larry Page, the CEO of Google.
the CEO of Google.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was not Musk's ideal outcome.
Right, he wanted to keep Tesla independent.
Exactly. But he realized that he needed a backup plan,
A safety net.
a safety net, exactly, just in case things went south.
So if Tesla went under, Google would take over.
Exactly. And that would at least ensure that the technology would continue to develop.
I see, so that was his insurance policy.
Exactly. His insurance policy.
Smart move.
Very smart move.
Okay, so what was the third thing?
The third thing was maybe the most audacious of all.
I'm intrigued.
He temporarily shut down the factory.
He shut down the factory?
Yeah, for a few weeks.
Why would he do that?
Well, he had to reduce cash burn somehow.
Okay.
And they were still having production issues.
All right.
So he decided to use that time to streamline their processes and upgrade the factory.
But wouldn't that be bad for PR?
It could have been, but he spun it as a planned downtime for upgrades and improvements.
Ah, so he made it sound like a positive thing.
Exactly. He didn't want to spook investors or send the stock price plummeting.
That's risky.
It was a gamble, but it paid off.
How so?
Well, they were able to fix the production issues, and they came out of that shutdown stronger than ever.
So they were actually more efficient after the shutdown.
Exactly. And a few months later, in May 2013, they announced their first ever quarterly profit.
Wow, so they turned it around.
They turned it around. It was a huge turning point.
Proof that they could not only survive, but actually make money.
Exactly. And it set the stage for their next big challenge,
Which was,
the Model 3.
the car that was supposed to make Tesla a truly mainstream automaker.
Exactly. The car for the people with a price tag that was, well, relatively affordable.
So this was Musk's vision all along.
This is his vision all along, to make electric cars accessible to everyone.
Ambitious.
Extremely ambitious. And the Model 3 was going to be the key to achieving that vision.
So what happened? Did it work?
Well, that's a story for next time.
Oh, come on. You can't leave me hanging like that.
You have to tune in for part 3 to find out.
All right, fine. But I'm holding you to that. Okay, so the Model 3. The car that was supposed to change everything.
This was it. This is the one that was going to make or break Tesla.
No pressure.
Right. So the anticipation for this car was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people were literally camping out in front of Tesla stores to put down their deposits.
Really? Wow, that's like iPhone level hype.
It was total hype. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people put down reservations before the car even went into production.
They really tapped into something there.
They did. They tapped into this desire for a more sustainable future, a future where electric cars were the norm.
It makes sense.
And the Model 3, it was supposed to be the car that made that future a reality.
So what happened?
Well, the short answer is production hell.
Production hell.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. I mean, scaling up production to meet that kind of demand is incredibly difficult.
Especially for a company that's still relatively young.
Exactly. And they had all sorts of problems. I mean, they were having trouble making the cars fast enough.
Right.
And the cars that they were making weren't always up to their standards.
Quality control issue.
Yeah, and it was putting a huge strain on the company.
I bet.
Financially, they were bleeding money.
So what did they do?
Well, Musk, he basically moved into the factory,
He lived there.
pretty much.
Yeah.
He was sleeping on the factory floor, working around the clock, trying to figure out how to fix the problems.
That's intense.
It was intense. I mean, there were reports of him having these like emotional breakdowns, just the pressure was incredible.
I can imagine.
And he even admitted later that they were weeks away from total collapse.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that close.
So how did they pull it off? How did they survive?
Honestly, it's kind of a miracle.
Okay, but seriously, what changed?
Well, a few things.
Okay.
First of all, they streamlined their production processes.
Makes sense.
They got rid of bottlenecks. They automated as much as possible.
So they made the factory more efficient?
Exactly. And they also hired a bunch of new engineers and production workers.
Okay, so they brought in more manpower.
Exactly. And they were all working toward the same goal, to get those Model 3s out the door.
So they were like a well-oiled machine.
Well, eventually they became a well-oiled machine. I mean, it took a while, but they got there.
So they started hitting their production targets.
They did, and they even started exceeding them.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was a remarkable turnaround.
So they went from the brink of collapse to exceeding their production target.
Exactly. And by late 2019, they were making a profit on the Model 3.
Finally.
Finally, they had done it. They'd created a truly mass-market electric car.
That's a huge accomplishment.
It was a huge accomplishment, and it really solidified Tesla's position as the leader in the electric vehicle market.
So what's next for Tesla? What are they working on now?
Well, they've got a lot of things in the pipeline.
Like what?
Well, they're working on new models, of course.
Okay.
Like the Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck, yeah, that thing looks crazy.
It looks like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I'm not sure if I like it or not, but it's definitely eye-catching.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, and they're also working on self-driving technology. Yeah. Autopilot, they're constantly improving that.
It's pretty impressive already.
It is, but they want to take it to the next level. They want to achieve full self-driving.
That's the holy grail of the auto industry.
It is, and Tesla is one of the companies that's closest to achieving it.
So they're not just making cars anymore, they're also a tech company.
Exactly. They're a software company, a hardware company, an energy company.
They're kind of doing it all.
They're doing it all. And they're also pushing the boundaries in other areas like space exploration with SpaceX.
Right. I forgot about SpaceX. That's Musk's other company.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing what they're doing over there, too.
So what's the takeaway here? What have we learned from Tesla's story?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that anything is possible if you have a vision and you're willing to work hard enough to achieve it.
That's a good one.
I mean, Tesla went through so many ups and downs.
Yeah, they were on the brink of bankruptcy multiple times.
Exactly. But they never gave up, and they always pushed forward.
And now they're one of the most valuable companies in the world.
Yeah. And they're changing the world.
For the better, hopefully.
Yeah, for the better. I mean, they're helping to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy.
And they're inspiring other companies to do the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Tesla's story is not just about cars.
It's about innovation. It's about sustainability. It's about the future.
And it's a story that's still being written.
That's a good point. We'll have to check back in a few years and see where they are.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Wow. Time flies when you're talking about Tesla.
It really does. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was fascinating.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the limits of what's possible.
See you next time.